Hello, everyone. My name is Advocate Achal Agarwal, and we welcome you to our YouTube channel, The Legal Theka. This is basically a series which me and my friend have started under this channel of Contract Lifecycle Management. Uh, that is purely and purely related to the legal industry. So, as we know, once we receive a contract draft, and if we need to start contract redlining and contract betting, we basically started from scratch. So, like the first and the foremost important point that we need to understand is the track mode changes. What is track mode change? How do we do it practically? How do we put it in a Word file? How do we accept the changes and how do we reject those changes? So, track mode changes is something which is really important and mandatory for anyone going in the contract field to know before starting contract redlining or what we call as contract betting. So basically, first we'll talk about what contract redlining or betting is. So contract redlining or contract betting is something when we actually make any edit or alteration to the draft according to our policies, according to our organizational policies. So it is basically, in a very layman term, it is something when we are making edit to the contracts according to our policies. So how do we make those changes? Now, secondly, when we need to make any of those changes in a contract, we just put on track mode changes. I think most of you have obviously heard about track mode changes, but as a fresh law graduate or as someone who is not from contracts background or who is from litigation background but jumping into a corporate sector or trying to switch to a corporate sector, the fact of contract redlining and track mode changes is something very new, right? So I will just quickly explain what track mode changes is and how do we actually apply it, how do we turn it on, how do we turn it off, how we actually accept changes in a draft, how we actually reject changes in a draft. So as you can see on my screen, I have just opened an XYZ draft, and as we can see, clause 10 and 11, limitation of liability and term and termination. So how we basically start with it. So if you see here in my screen, you will see this review, like how we gonna put the track mode changes. Once you open this particular draft, you have to go to this review section. Once you go to this review, you will see this track changes option here. So now, at present, if you are writing anything, for example, I'll take this term and termination clause, and instead of 3 years, I have to write it as 5 years. So now, as you can see, the 5 is coming in the same font of which 3 is written, right? So it is not in a track mode changes. Now, if I need to apply track mode changes or if I need to turn it on, basically, I will just click here and I will click on track changes. As you can see, now it is turned on. Now, if if I need to add 5 here instead of 3, so what I'll do is I'll just write it as this. So if you will notice two things here now. One, you are getting this particular line here. Secondly, the particular wordings that you have added in this draft is coming in a red format. So when anyone who is just scrolling down the draft can particularly know, like, the other party have made changes in this particular draft at in this particular clause under 11.1 and made this to 5 years instead of 3 years. So uh, track mode changes is now you will basically understand why it is really important for us. For example, there is a 70 or 80 pager contract, and we are doing basically doing contract redlining in it, but it is not humanly possible for everyone to match it word by word, whether other party have made changes in this clause or not. And so it is really not possible for any of the party to actually map it word by word, right? So that is why track mode changes is really important, so that if I am making changes to this draft, the other party, when I am sharing that draft with the other party will get to know in with what all clauses I have made changes and what all changes are there. So it is quite convenient for both the parties. Plus, it is a professional way to actually redline or vet a contract. So it's a basic, primarily standard way once we start contract redlining or drafting. So now, for example, I need to change it to 5 years. So obviously, I have to remove this 3 years. So what I'll do is I'll just put backspace in it, and as you see, it got removed. So now whenever the other party will come to this 11.1 clause, so they'll straight away get to know that instead of a term of 3 years, I want the term to be 5 years instead of 3 years. So I want this particular change to be there in the draft. So this is why and when track mode changes is really important for both the parties, as it makes the other party to understand what all changes we are making. It makes the concepts crystal clear, like how we actually make those changes and what all changes do we require under particular clause. So now, the next question is, for example, we have shared this draft to the other party, and they came to this particular clause 11.1. Now they agree to this clause. Ki, okay, we agree to 5 year term and instead of 3 year term. So what they will do is they will basically select this whole, and as you can see here also we are getting one option of accept, and here also you will get an option of accept. So once you will accept this, then you will just see now the 3 years got removed and now we have 5 years in the normal format. So this is how we accept any changes in our draft. Now, for example, now this is the draft which I had shared with the client, but client doesn't agree with the 5 year term. So what they gonna do is they gonna reject the changes that I have made in the draft. So this they will do the same thing again. They'll just select this particular part and they'll just click on this. If you see this cross, reject change. So what it is basically done is we had earlier removed this particular 3 and added 5 years instead, right? So 3 is then again reinstated, and for this 5, what they'll do is they'll then remove it in the same manner that we did. So this is how we actually turn on track mode changes. And if you want to turn it off, like turn off the track mode changes, will normally just click on this particular part and it just got turned off. Now if you will write anything, for example, either party or something, anything, if you are writing, now you'll see it is coming in the same format which is present here, and not in the red format, red font, or not in a red line font. Now if you want to turn it on, you can turn it on, and if you are now writing it, now you can see the difference. You can see the difference. This was written with track mode changes turned off, and this particular part was written while track mode changes to be turned on. Now for example, the second point that we're going to discuss under this video is how do we add comments to it. For example, once we are making any changes, uh, Professionally, what we do is, as a part of our profession, as part of our contracts profession under contract lifecycle management, what we do is we generally put up a comment here, like why it is not agreed to us. So if you do like this, you have a option here also, and you had a option of here also, I had selected. So what I'll write is, according to our company policy, we can go for maximum 3 years of term. I am just stating an example of how do you actually add up a comment. So, for example, now I have shared this particular draft with the client. The client has shared the revised draft with me. So, when I'll just quick scroll down through the contract again, so now I can see they have reinstated 3 years instead of 5 years, and they have put up a comment. According to our company policy, we can go for maximum 3 years. So now I know why they have reinstated 3 years and why they have removed 5 years. So this is how we actually work when we start a contract redlining part, when we start vetting up a draft which we got from a client or which we got from a service provider. It can be anything. So we gonna share all the details about CLM, all the details about contract lifecycle management, all of its topic very soon. You can subscribe to our channel, you can share our channel. We gonna share all the information on a pro bono basis, like we not gonna charge anything for these informations. You can share it with someone who is a fresh law graduate, someone who is actually in their penultimate or final year of law schools and who are thinking to go for corporate sector, for corporate councils or in-house councils. It is something which is not there in our theoretical books. It is something which we don't get to study in our law schools. So we have come up with this series properly, and we're going to share all the relevant information which is practically based and not related to any theoretical knowledge. So thank you so much for watching this video. You can share, subscribe, and like this video if you like it. And if there is any other topic which you want us to take for any of your queries, any of your doubts, any of your queries related to in-house counsels or corporate jobs under the legal sector, even if you are fresher, you are thinking to, you can comment down in this video, and we're gonna surely make a quick video on it, clearing up your all of your doubts. Thank you so much.